Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. I think the Bears mostly did. It's Carmen and Jurko. We're recapping the draft today. We'll sprinkle in a few things from the weekend that was. A little baseball. The NBA playoffs, I thought, were pretty great this weekend after kind of a dud in that opening weekend. It was fun. Got home just in time to see.
It's getting lively.
Oh, man, I got home in time. I was just telling Chris and Adam, my son had a couple of baseball games yesterday, but I got home in time to see the fourth quarter of the Mavs-Clippers game, and I saw the best 12 minutes of it. It's fantastic. Love that. So watched some of the Suns and did they go out meekly in the Timberwolves last night. So we'll sprinkle a little of that fun stuff in, but we are hot and heavy on the NFL, and the Bears draft. Free agency is in the rear view. So is the draft. I think just reiterating what most of us had said Friday, we feel pretty good about this. The way the board fell for them last Thursday, where Odunze was there for them to take him. Fantastic. I think he's got an incredibly bright future. I don't know if everybody heard, and if you didn't, make sure you check out Rome Odunze on the station with Bleck and Abdalla. Because of the technical difficulties at Buffalo Wild Wings late in our show Friday, and Waddle and Sylvia had a hightail it back. Chris and Adam filled in.
They were scrambling.
They got to talk to
Who
Caleb.
better to fill in than these two guys?
Nobody. They're super capable.
Storied veterans.
They talked to Caleb Williams. They talked to Rome Odunze. I went back this weekend. We were still at the bar. We didn't hear it live. I caught up on Saturday. And you can go on the YouTube pages, go on Bleck and Abdalla's YouTube page or the stations, and you can find it there. But I was like, Rome Odunze was fantastic with these guys. And Caleb, we know, has a good personality too. I mean, I don't think it's an act with Caleb Williams. I think he's pretty authentic in the way he carries himself. He's a little cocky. That's fine. I want my quarterback cocky.
Confident.
I want a little. I don't mind
Confident,
a little hubris,
cocky,
right?
yeah.
Like Jurko always says, you don't think Dan Marino and Brett Favre walked in knowing they were the cock of the walk? Like, they should be a little cocky.
The minute they were walking in, they were looking for the hottest chick.
Yeah,
that's the way it worked for them.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
And so Caleb's got a good personality, I think, because of it. I was blown away by Rome Odunze with Chris and Adam. How personable and how thoughtful he was, and sort of into the interview he was with them. And I'm assuming you guys agree with that assessment.
Yeah, he seemed genuinely excited.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah, he wasn't above doing a radio interview, which sometimes these high-profile professional athletes who are super famous, they're on everyone's podcasts now.
Yeah.
They're on every TV show. Like, Caleb, I thought, was good for what that setting was. You know what I mean? We weren't in person.
Right.
He's done
a million of them.
1,000 different interviews. But, Rome Odunze was, into it.
If he lives up to the hype, player-wise, he's going to be a star here.
Agreed.
Because of his personality. He is great to talk to. It seemed like through all the behind-the-scenes draft stuff that they do afterwards, all the different interviews and all the stuff that they post, he seems like a genuinely good dude, and he will be a star here in Chicago if he hits.
100%. Yeah. And it always comes down to, how good are you? That's like Jurko said it, Friday. You got to go be good now. You could talk about being a face of the league, and the league might want you someday to be the face of the league. You don't do that by being average. You do that by being great. So you got to go out and they've got to be great. And if they fire, I think it's going to be fabulous for all of us. For fans, I think both of them have the kind of personalities that are going to win over fans, especially if they're good. But yeah, I kept all weekend thinking to myself, what they were able to do with 2 top 10 picks. And there's been a couple of times in Bears history, we'll sort of call it in the more modern draft era since 65, when of course they got Butkus and Sayers, and for whatever reasons those teams never hit to the level that you'd expect with 2 great generational players like Butkus and Sayers. But there were a couple of other times too when the Bears had a pair of top 10 picks, and they normally walked away doing quite well. I think Donnell Wolford and Trace Armstrong, if I'm not mistaken, were both selected in the top 10. Both were very good players and had very good careers, had good Bears careers, and in other places as well. In the case of Trace Armstrong,
Trace went to Miami. Continued on.
Yeah,
so 100+ sacks, I believe, in his career.
I believe he did. Yeah, and so you expect to do well and hit home runs with those guys. And I really kept thinking all weekend, I feel like the Bears did that. Yeah, sure, they've got to go out and prove it over the next. Over the course of their careers. But I walked away thinking, what they accomplished Thursday was so good. They added an O-lineman on Friday, a local kid. Knew nothing about him. Obviously, we're not really watching the Ivy League.
We're not watching Yale.
Smart kid, kid from Yale. He went to Hinsdale Central, lifelong Bear fan.
6'5" and change.
Monster of a kid.
Long
Just
arms,
monster.
good feet. Not a ton of football experience.
Not a ton, and not a ton of tackle. Only played a handful of games this last year because he partially tore his quad. So he missed a pretty big chunk of his last year at Yale. Was not able to finish the season. Played a lot of guard there. Not as much tackle. Definitely more of a project. But it does, at least it's a project at a position in which we were thinking that the Bears might be interested in adding. And that's what they did. They also added an edge rusher out of Kansas by the name of Austin Booker. They went back into the draft to get him on day three.
On day three.
Look, the head scratcher is Torrey Taylor. Great accent, by the way. He's Australian. So that's cool.
What position does he play, Carm? Don't hide it from the people.
He's a punter. Now, the punter at Iowa is important because Iowa's offense is so rudimentary and so bad.
You got a lot of work.
The punter gets a lot of work. He's good. Yurko asked the question. I feel like doing it with the callers, but we'll just do it. We'll have fun with it. Yurko asked the question upstairs. Name the best punter in the NFL. He said this to me and Black and Abdalla and Danny Zetterman. And
no answers.
Well, I said, I think I know who it is, but the guy from, but I don't know his name. Am I crazy? It's the guy in Kansas City with the hair.
The guy from
What's
somewhere.
his name? I can't pull his name.
The guy from somewhere, right?
Buckner?
No, that's their kicker. He's good too, but their punter, I think, is good.
They're all the same, Carm.
I said, who's the worst punter in the league?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Name five. Can you name five?
Five. I could name five
What's
punters.
the disparity between the top guy and the bottom guy?
Who's the guy in Kansas City?
I think the point is, I think it's minuscule. I don't know, nor do I care. I think the point is it's minuscule. The top punter and the worst punter in the league, the difference is minuscule. Statistically minuscule. That's what I'm trying to tell you. What did this guy average a punt at Iowa?
I don't know.
Come on now. You gotta sit there and you gotta guess at the very least.
What did he
entertain me?
His net
what
or
was
his
his
gross?
punting average? His gross.
His gross.
46.3.
The gross is going to be bigger.
46.4, something like that. By the way, and it doesn't matter sometimes how you punt, your coverage unit, and what's the quality of your coverage unit. Punting is only half the thing. Your cover group has got to get their asses down there and they got to cover, or they got to stop the ball from getting into the end zone.
Or
so
you
it's
have
not
to be
simply always about the punter.
Like some guys are real good with the English, though, right?
Okay, my thing is 46.5, right?
Is that what it was?
What did our punter with the Chicago Bears average last year?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, I did. I took the time.
You did?
I took the time. 46.1.
Get out.
Yes. So what are you doing? What are you doing?
But there's got to be some noise in those numbers.
What are you doing is my point.
I don't know.
It takes a certain level of arrogance out of your general manager to want to waste a fourth rounder on a punter. It takes a certain amount of arrogance. Now, that's fine if you do what Kansas City has done.
Like win Super Bowls?
And you get to Super Bowls and you're going to the AFC Championship games, right? And then you hit a home run in the first round with 2 picks. It looks like you did some solid work in the third round. I give you all the credit in the world for coming back in and getting something that you liked that you know might be a problem for your Chicago Bears. You liked it. You were aggressive, traded a 4th rounder for a 5th rounder this year. You went and did that. All great, all fantastic. But what's the level of arrogance that an individual has to have? How good and frothy must you feel about yourself to sit there and go, watch this, I'm going to take a punter? Ridiculous. Might be one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, 4th round punters for me.
But it will not sully the draft.
No,
for
it doesn't
me.
sully it at
all.
all.
It won't sully it, but it just makes me think about
head scratcher.
Why? I mean, what? Why? What for? It doesn't make sense unless you just had everybody's been patting you on the back all weekend because of the 1st and the 9th pick, and you decide, watch what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do this.
Any chance they're getting cute, like with the new kickoff rules, and like there's something? Now he's not a kicker; he's a punter. But sometimes you've seen punters be kickoff specialists, right, Yerk? Any chance they're like they've got some idea?
Craig Henrik was the guy that kicked field goals and also punted, right? Punted, also kicked field goals, also kicked kickoffs
and had
for
kickoffs
us
too, right?
Instead of Chris Jackie. So
right.
I've seen that happen before.
So, like, any chance with the new rules, like there's something they like about his skill set that they think they're gaining, and I don't know. 4th round punter when you could,
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
I don't know. I'm just wondering.
I don't know what's in the mind of the madness of somebody that's going to waste a 4th-round pick on a punter.
A 4th-round pick.
4th-round pick on a punter.
Can anybody name 5 punters in the NFL without cheating?
That's the
Like,
problem.
seriously.
I can't. Our guy's name, I think, is Mims.
No.
And that's only because I looked him up.
Our guy's Gill. Trenton Gill is the
Gill.
punter.
Close. 4
I
letters.
mean, I know our punter,
Gill.
but I'm a,
He was our guy.
Well,
There's
yeah,
no
he's
way
not-
you're going to have. You
No,
just,
no,
you
no.
just
Yeah,
drafted
yeah,
your
yeah.
guy.
But you're right,
He's
yeah.
gone.
He's gone. He gone.
That
he
guy's
gone.
gone.
But I can't name 5
And,
punters.
and, like, let's face it, we watch an obscene amount of football.
All we do is watch football.
I don't think I could name 5 punters. There's Trenton Gill. He'll be on some team. There's Tommy Townsend. Right, I think that's the kid in Kansas City, if I have that right. Hold on. Isn't there like
Oh, I got one. Pat McAfee.
that doesn't count.
Yeah,
no.
He's on
did
TV
he
right
not
now.
punt? He
Yeah, but you
punted.
got to be a punter
Pat
now.
No,
Manley.
but he was a punter.
Yeah,
Pat
but
Manley.
no, Pat Manley wasn't a
He's a
punter.
long snapper?
Stop it. I'm trying to think. Can I name 5 current NFL
No, you
punters?
can't.
Tommy Townsend. I'm picturing one that's pretty good that I can't place his name.
You can't
got a
place
face?
their
He's
name
got a-
because they
he's got a
don't
face?
matter. They do not matter.
anybody honestly-
you don't
Got a
waste
number?
the 4th pick
Can you give
on
us a number?
punter.
I can't give you a number. Can anybody without cheating, like, honestly call and name 5 punters in the NFL right now?
My
Like,
biggest
seriously.
problem
like,
is that-
don't cheat.
Iowa fans this weekend were all up in everyone's mention saying how great this guy was and how he's the reason that they beat Wisconsin 15-6. If the Bears are beating
cares?
teams 15-6, we got problems.
I mean, come
Like,
on.
that's a problem. The Iowa offense was the butt of jokes on this show
Of
for
course.
2 years.
Did you guys see the quotes that were going around after he was drafted from Caleb Williams?
No, I did. Caleb
you
was,
see that?
Caleb was, you're not going to be needed much, right? Isn't that what he said?
It's that.
Caleb
That's
goes,
fantastic.
welcome. You're not going to be needed that much
Hey,
here.
I'm
Thank
glad
you.
that they just blew a 4th-round pick on you. We're not going to need you.
We're not gonna
How about
need you.
that? Welcome to the team. That's
Go back
fantastic.
to Australia. I don't know. I can't believe that. Maybe I can believe it. Like, can I really not name 4 punters? I watch football. I watch. That's all I do in the fall
You know
and the
why?
winter is
Because-
watch football. I
Yeah,
can't
you
name
know why?
5 punters.
Because you're going to the bathroom.
That's right.
Because you're like, oh,
You're dropping a deuce.
it's fourth and,
When the
it's
3rd
4th and
down
7.
fails, where are you going? You're
Time-
straight to the hood.
Time to go to the bathroom real quick. Time to get another drink.
Like,
Time to get more food.
I can name 3 running backs on the Cowboys before I can
Yeah.
name 5 punters in the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
I can't name any. Who am I?
Someone in the Twitch chat said the net average yards between the worst and the best punter is 7 yards.
7 yards.
That's net.
That's
got to
net.
do with coverage units, guys.
Yeah, that's
No,
got-
I know.
Yeah, that's what I see. That's the one I got to keep knocking on here. McFly, not for you, but for the person that sent it in. That's got all to do with coverage units and how good your special
But that-
teams are.
but that's part
not
of it, too.
specifically what your punter is. No, it's not. The punter is gross coverage. The guys that cover are the
wait.
guys that are
But in
responsible.
fairness, I
how
did-
many jackaloons have you seen on Sundays? The ball gets punted. It's careening down the field on the 10. It's being let go. And you got 2 butchers of Lyon get down there, and they mishandle the ball and kick it into the end
They
zone.
trip
seen-
over themselves.
I've
The
seen
whole
it.
thing.
I've seen
Yes.
it. Now, I did see some highlights of this kid. In fairness, where he's got, now he's Australian, but he's got English. You know what I'm talking about? He's got the good English on the ball where he had it. He gets it like a golfer. He had to check a couple times, like around the 5. Like, that's pretty impressive.
4th round pick.
Yeah, well, please, you don't have to tell me.
4th round
I
pick.
saw it and I was like, really? Now we're drafting punters? In
I
the
think
4th
this is
round?
why we need to cut a promo because this is why Jurko is here
Drafted
to let all those nerds out there just looking at punter highlights. Like
Yeah.
this is not 4th round.
Who can
Jurko,
name
this is why you're here to tell the masses that this is ridiculous.
punter highlights? I mean, really.
Please, it's beyond the point of being ridiculous. I said the pick comes from a position of arrogance, and it's a position, an arrogance that the Chicago Bears do not have. They don't have it. You haven't done anything yet. You've won
picturing-
7 games. At what position are you with a limited amount of draft choices to say, hey, with the 4th rounder, if you took the defensive end with the 4th rounder and you didn't take the punter, you had a perfect draft.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have
You
to.
had
You
a
didn't have to
perfect
spend
draft.
a pick from next year.
That's right.
You could have taken the pass rusher.
You had a perfect draft at that point. Instead, you took a punter.
You have me thinking of
Ridiculous.
Liam Neeson in Taken. Your arrogance offends me. The price just went up 10%.
Yes, Shetcher.
Yeah, Shetcher.
How do you say sugar? Shetcher.
Yurko's like Liam Neeson at the table right now with Poles and the rest of the crew. Your arrogance offends me. You're drafting a punter in the fourth round.
I don't understand. But again, it's not going to sully my feeling for the team, and it's not going to sully my feelings for most of what they did in the draft. But it does. It does. Makes you wonder if they got too many pats on the back.
Punter.
You know? Too many shakes, too many, reverse grips for the guy. I think he was feeling too good of himself by Saturday. He goes, let me screw this thing up for a bit.
The Bears are still getting high marks. I'll read you what Mel Kiper wrote about the pick of the punter and some other stuff here. The Bears are still getting high marks.
How much does it take your grade down, the punter?
Like a half. Like if I was going to give him a B plus, I'd give him a B. A half a grade.
Right.
Half a grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're giving them a B?
A third grade.
I'd
I took
probably
him from
say
an A to an A minus.
I'd go from like an A minus to a B plus.
Okay.
I'd say the draft was like A minus. Yeah. But because they drafted a punter in the fourth round, it goes down to a B plus.
A to an A minus for me.
Yeah. A to an A minus. That's strong. Okay, great.
I told you, it's not going to totally upset me. I just want to know, what were you thinking?
They went from like a 91 to an 89.
What were you doing?
Still pretty good.
It's like when the Bears took Garrett Wolf, knowing he could never be a starting running back. He was a gadget guy. Gadget guys.
I'm going to try to find the names of some punters in the NFL. I can't believe that I can only name two.
Old
You're
squad
fine.
good. Ray Guy, Jeff Gossett,
yeah.
Reggie Roby. I mean, I can name the old guys.
The old
McAfee.
guys. McAfee. The old guy. 312-332-3776. We'll start taking your Bears calls. A lot of people want to chat Bears, recap the draft with us. In all honesty, what you really did think, how excited you are. And maybe not just for the top, but maybe some of the depth pieces that they tried to add, minus the punter. The more you learned about them, and look, the players are a little bit more obscure. Most of us don't know about the situational pass rushers at Kansas or linemen, certainly at Yale. I don't think many of us are watching Ivy League football on Saturdays. But as you learn about them, things that you like, some takeaways from the weekend, 312-332-3776. It's Carmen and Jurko. We'll be right back.